it boils down to this. If I can do 4 podcasts with my ideal customer profile, I should get 1 piece of business out of those 4.
What would be the pros and cons to maybe just the Zoom setup?
I think this goes back to the product you're selling.
Like you said, if the goal is to repurpose, production quality matters at that point.
You're trying to offer value to somebody. Soundbites giving you an awesome podcast. They see that value as an investment in them. I think of it as a 3-step play. Like if I were to think of it in purely like a cold calculating way, this is how you do it.
What are the things you do to grow your brand? Join me as we take a look at how the best in the business build authority and create true fans through video podcasting. I'm Josh Lewis, and this is Grow Your Podcast, produced by the Cincinnati Podcast Studio. All right, before we get into the episode, just give me 30 seconds. Would you please hit the subscribe button? I know that in this feed-driven, algorithmic world, it is so easy to just skip that because things will show up in your feed. But when you hit that subscribe button, it tells us that we're actually creating valuable content. So if you would hit that subscribe button, we will do our best to keep bringing valuable content to you with how to grow your podcast. So we're going to be talking about the #1 generator for revenue with video podcasting.
This is going to be good.
I know, I'm excited. And the funny thing is, this sounds like a super clickbaity title, but which it is, but it's actually not untrue.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Some of the things that, especially with your podcast, shout out Cincinnati Business Podcast, that you have been experimenting with. And there's just a lot that I think you've learned with what it looks like to use your podcast as a sales platform, as a business development, sort of relational development platform. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about this, and let's just set up context for people. What exactly are we talking about? What does it look like to use your podcast, just big picture, for sales?
Yeah. So I think the big picture behind this idea is it was kind of sparked by a good friend of ours, Joseph Lewin. He's a great dude, smart guy, really good at understanding what it takes to try and turn conversations into sales. And one of the things that he recommended to us years ago that we started trying was the idea of inviting your ICP onto a show. And I think that is one of the interesting things, because like when people want to think about podcasts, they like, hey, well, let's talk about our industry. Let's talk about the thing that we do. Let's talk about the values of our company. Let's talk, like, they come to us with those sort of ideas and we're like, those are awesome. You should make podcasts out of those.
Right.
Those will not have directly attributable sources of revenue for your company.
Yeah.
Directly. Like it's other than like if you have a really good call to action at the end and then turn into something else. Like,
right. Because I just want to like over explain this just for people. So when we say this, you making content does not equal you making money.
Yes.
I think a lot of times people see podcasting and famous podcasters and they think they make content, they make money, right? And that's not actually, that's honestly not even how they started making money. Once you get to a certain level, yes, for sure, you do start making money. But we're trying to say, you can start this tomorrow. Mm-hmm. This is a way to start a way of making revenue tomorrow. So anyways, when you say it's not directly attributable, it's not, you make the podcast and that video asset makes you money.
Agreed. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for the clarification. And so the thing we're going to talk through today is kind of the process that we use to get a 25% close rate on clients.
Yeah.
And so using a video podcast. So the idea behind this is really, we've kind of got like 3 stages of how to do this effectively, but it boils down to this. If I can do 4 podcasts with my ideal customer profile, then theoretically I should get 1 piece of business out of those 4. That's pretty great.
That's insane.
That's pretty great.
And so it's a little bit more work in terms of like what we do because we also produce the podcast.
Yes.
But for you, the person who's listening or watching this, like that's maybe hour and a half, 2 hours per person, right?
Yeah. And I mean, and then the other question that's really important to ask when you're thinking about this method is how much is a customer worth to you?
Yeah.
So like if you've got a customer worth, say the average deal size is $100,000 and it costs you $5,000 to do 4 episodes of a podcast, I'd take the trade.
That's a no-brainer.
No brainer.
Yep.
So let's talk through the 3 ideas of like what it looks like to try and do something like this, and then just kind of dig into a little more.
Perfect. So so the first one is podcasting gets you access. Talk a little bit about what kind of access does a podcast actually get you?
So there was this time early on in the world of podcasting, like maybe 5-10 years ago, where people were kind of getting burnt out on the idea of like, oh, I'm getting invited to all these podcasts, especially if people are these like popular figures that a lot of people know, that sort of thing. But generally speaking, that was because the idea of inviting guests onto a podcast wasn't popular until amongst like a B2B space until just fairly recently. Like B2B podcasting is a relatively new phenomenon. Like a lot of people hadn't done it before now. And so,
or if they did, it was like strictly like marketing podcasts.
Yeah. And so the thing that is really interesting is that most people don't say no to free exposure for themselves.
This is for sure.
If you can go out to somebody and like, there are obviously some popular people that I've reached out to that will not respond to me.
Yep.
Like I've reached out to the mayor of Cincinnati.
Yep.
He doesn't want to be on the show.
Right.
Great. No problem. Thanks for letting me know.
Yep.
Still love to have you sometime, AFTAB. Would love to have you. But like what I can do is I can ask my friend, the insurance agent, hey, I really want to get to know more about what you do. Let's have a conversation on the podcast about you. I'm not talking about my business. I may mention things about like, oh, like this is how it interacts with my business, or hey, this is how I've used your services in the past, or like those sort of things. But it's purely me sitting there wanting access to someone who I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Or in this case, an ideal customer. And then I just want to learn more about them.
Yep.
And one of the things that I promise all of my guests is whatever sort of content I make out of it, I give them all that content.
100%.
They can use it for their own social media. And luckily being in a video studio, like that is worth a lot to people.
Yes.
And people will say, heck yeah, let's do this.
Yep.
But it just gets you this access in a way that people are like, wait, you want to just interview me for an hour and have a conversation and learn about me? Yeah, I'll do that. That sounds great. Because the one thing everyone likes to talk about is themselves.
Right.
Like it's easy for them to do it.
Yeah. I know. I kind of feel like it's a little bit like just inviting people over to a space, like it's like inviting people into your house.
It's like the upgraded version of having coffee with someone.
Right. I think that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like all the time it's like, hey, can we grab a beer? Can we grab a drink? Can we grab a coffee? Right. This is a situation where you don't just get caffeine, you actually get something that could potentially promote your business. So you're already giving them value. You're inviting them into something that will give them more value just by being on the show. And if you've done this for a minute too, that means they get access to your network, your audience. So yeah, I love that idea. And I love I mean, you and I kind of both have a similar value of just hospitality. And so inviting somebody in to your domain so you can bless them is awesome. And maybe you get to make a sale out of it too.
Exactly.
Because you're inviting the right person to be a part of it. I love that.
And I don't think that this method doesn't work if you don't know your ICP. Like, I think this is really clear. So like, if you don't know who your customer is, this method does not make you money.
Yes.
Because I think in the beginning of the podcast, I didn't quite know who my customer was.
Yeah.
So I was inviting people just to try and get the practice, get the more interesting guests? Like, how can I have a cool conversation? But that's not the way you do this method.
Right.
This method is all about have your sales team have a defined person that they should be talking to. And then they reach out to all those people and say, hey, come on my show. We'll release a new episode next week and I'd love to have you on it. And using that as a method, people generally say yes, that they may not have said yes to some other sort of cold email.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really good. So, all right, let's talk a minute though about format and kind of pros and cons to, like, if we think about the podcast as like a house, what kind of house are you inviting them into?
Yeah.
Right. So there's a few different formats. There's the remote version where you use your computers to do like a Zoom style calls thing. There is remote where you can like use a studio like ours and do a remote. And then there's like in studio sort of thing where you use again, a studio like ours, or even if you have like a studio built in your office or something like that. So in your mind, what are the things you should be thinking about in terms of what kind of format your podcast should be? Obviously, we want you to come here to Cincinnati Podcast Studio, but like, what are there's pros and cons to everything, right? So what would be the pros and cons to maybe just the Zoom setup?
Well, I think this goes back to the product you're selling. I think that's one of the things you have to think about. If you're a nationwide organization that sells to companies from Portland to Miami, like you're going to be in this weird space of like your sales, the person you may be wanting to make a sale to may not be in town.
Right.
So obviously sometimes you have to do the Zoom thing.
Yeah.
And I think there is still merit to a podcast over Zoom.
For sure.
I think it totally works because you can still at least have a conversation.
Yes.
Now, there's something magical about being in person with somebody else and having that conversation. That's why people say, let's grab coffee, let's grab a beer. People know that there's something about this in-person conversation that is actually really valuable to someone and to build relationships. But I would say Zoom-based podcasts, totally fine. And I think it is totally doable to make a show out of that.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be something that I would expect someone to see and actually make into any form of marketing material for your business. Like, I see a lot of people all the time, and no diss to those people. They're amazing at what they're doing. I love that they're doing little shows and little podcasts and stuff, but I generally skip content that is 2 webcams showing up on my Instagram feed. So if you're trying to repurpose content, generally speaking, if I see it's a webcam, I generally skip. Not because I don't believe the content is valuable, more just because like in my brain, I'm just like, oh, maybe it was like a thought about effort. Maybe it was a thought about quality of the guest. Maybe it was also just like, I don't want to listen to Zoom audio right now. Like gives me little twitches when I think about it or something. So I would say that Zoom is great for conversation, but it's not great for repurposing.
I agree. I think it's really helpful to go back to what is the goal of this? And if it's literally just to get in front of the person, 100%, Zoom is fine. I mean, we'd even recommend tools like Riverside that like it will download the highest quality version locally onto that person's machine, and then it will upload. So any like internet like freakouts, it doesn't capture that. It's great. By the way, Riverside, you should sponsor us. Please give us an affiliate link or something. Which I think we have one. But anyways, but so what is the goal? Now, like you said, if the goal is to repurpose, that is really where you have to kind of pay some serious consideration into like, okay, so production quality matters at that point.
Yes.
The how you sound, how you look, the lighting, all of that. That's where things start to matter, because you are not just appealing to the person you're having the conversation with. You're trying to appeal to a lot of different people. And the more people I think you're trying to get in front of and appeal to, I think that's where the production quality probably starts to matter a little more.
Well, and I think to add to kind of what we were talking about earlier is that you're trying to offer value to somebody.
Yes.
So if you're trying to offer value to the guest and you're thinking about, oh, well, if I spend X amount of time on this guest, giving them awesome short form that they can use for social media, giving them awesome sound bites, giving them an awesome podcast, they see that value as an investment in them, not in a manipulative way. It's more of like, hey, I believe that you're an awesome person.
Yep.
I would love for you to buy from me as well.
Yeah.
But like, you're cool. Come on the show. Let's talk.
Yep.
And then you get all this awesome high quality assets out of it. That's where I say Zoom falls apart. If you really are trying to have a big value that you give people for free just to have the conversation with you, then great. Go for something other than Zoom. Do like at least hosting like locally in a studio or in a nice environment, like your own environment if you want to build your own, or come to the Cincinnati Podcast Studio, come to your local studio and talk in person where you have these real conversations. You look them in the eye, you can read their body language. You can tell that they're not using AI to realign their eyes so that they're not at their phone their whole time. Like you can tell that it's actual conversation. You're getting actual value of relationship building in this space.
Yes, I love that. And then the other consideration to think about is not just, okay, so what kind of repurposing do I want to do? As somebody who really cares about brand, you have to, that's just another consideration. Is the medium you're using reflective of your brand, of the quality of whatever it is that you're trying to do? You just have to like think about, okay, what is the goal? What am I trying to do with the assets afterwards? What kind of things am I trying to do to give my potential, my guest? And does this reflect my brand well? Those are some of the kind of guiding things that I think people need to give a little bit more consideration towards when they're thinking about doing a video podcast specifically for sales.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Yeah. So it gets you access. The other thing it does is it builds trust. Tell me, in your experience, you've done 28, I think. 28. So close to 30 podcasts just with the Cincinnati Business
Thanks for
Podcast.
rounding up. I appreciate it.
I'm here for you. How have you seen it build trust? Because not everybody who's been on your show, you actually knew super well coming into it. So how have you seen it build trust?
Well, I think there's a couple different levels to the trust that it builds.
Great. Yeah.
So obviously, if you are a classic interview-based podcast, one of the ways that you build trust with audiences is you borrow trust from the guest.
Yeah.
So if they have an audience already, you borrow the trust of the audience of that person by having them on your show. Yep. And that helps boost your profile.
Yeah.
But I think this version of podcasting, and really thinking about it as a sales tool, is all about this idea of listening. You sit here and you ask intelligent questions about the person, about their company, about their ethos. What is their guiding principle to who they are and why they do what they do? Like, what was the journey like for them to build the business that they're running? What was the process looking like when they felt like they didn't have a direction to turn, but then they realized, oh, hey, I could figure this out. I can do this. Like, the more you can emotionally connect to somebody over that hour, it creates this sense of trust that is way deeper than just like, hey, I'm having a sales call. It's way more than like, even because you can't talk about sales on the podcast. You just can't. Yeah. That's not the way you should do a podcast.
100%.
You should not hit the end and say, okay, and great, here's our offering. Like, because one, legal won't let you do that on in your company. Like, never quote prices in a podcast that'll stay forever.
Right.
Like, but then two, like, they feel like this it's the safe space where they're going to be talking about themselves.
Yeah.
There's obviously some hesitancy,
Sure.
but like it's this safe spot where they're able to sit there, talk about what makes them tick, what is important to them, and they see that you care. The interviewer actually cares about that person.
Yeah.
And so when I've been able to have these conversations, I've developed these different level of trust with each of these people that have been really amazing just in the long run. Because the other thing I love to do at the end of the podcast is I love to ask like, hey, is there anyone else you think that I should talk to? Like, who do you think would be another great person? And do you think they need a podcast? Like, that's just something I ask.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving them immense amount of value.
Right.
Like they're getting a full-length video podcast about what they do.
Yeah.
They get all these short form pieces of content. So it's okay to ask for something in return. And so part of that being, hey, do you know other people that can be on the show? But I think it's this spot where they expect your hour-long show is going to be all about them. And people don't get that very often.
Right.
It's a very rare thing in their life. And if you can give them that time where you can just learn about them, ask them intelligent questions, ask them meaningful questions, emotional questions. At the end, they're going to feel like they trust you way more, even though they've learned nothing about you this whole time.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think what's interesting too, since I'm the one always behind the camera in your shows, you usually ask, your ask is never a sales thing. It's always, who do you know that I should interview that's like cool like you? And then 2, like, can I get a Google review? Right? Like that for the studio. Like it's like those sort of things. But like you've never sold them directly. You've never said, so do you need a podcast? Do you need a webinar?
No.
Like, do you? And I think what's really helpful about that is you bring them on, you try to platform them, and you literally try to make it all about them. We record it, we create shorts out of it, we do all the things, and you never, like, if they decide they want to work with us, great, because you have now they know what it's like to like hang out with us in the studio, right? They know what it's like to a little bit of like how you think you interact with people and that kind of a thing. And so I think part of the trust comes from not actually asking for the sale or the next level. It really is all about giving value and giving. And then I think the other piece too is just like, how do you make them feel cared about? Yeah. When they come in, right? We always ask people like, can we get you water? Can we make you coffee or tea? Right. We try to like make it super chill. Yeah. And I think with this, what's really cool about podcasting is the format is so easy for people who can't talk direct to camera, which is most people. Yeah. To be fair.
It's really hard to do.
And then you get to like capture these conversations that maybe you would have just had over coffee. I would even argue you wouldn't get as deep potentially over coffee because they know it's going to be an interview and you're just talking to them about them.
Well, and they're going to feel like over coffee, they have to ask you questions too.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, it's literally, I just want to give you value. I want to have you in here. So you are giving some stuff up by your time, right? Which I plan to transform your time that you're giving up and make it something that can be multiplied.
Yes.
So I love that idea. I think,
and I think we've been dancing around the last point.
Yes. Which is really giving giving value. And so like, what are some of the ways you give value? Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I think of it as a 3-step play. Like if I were to think of it in purely like a cold calculating way. Yeah. This is how you do it. You ask them to come on your show. Yeah.
which is a favor to you. They are doing you a favor to come on your show.
Yep.
You build trust over an hour having this conversation with them. You say, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. That was amazing. And then you ask to give them even more value and you say, what can I do to help you?
Yeah. What
ends up happening is you get one of two responses. They say, I was actually hoping, I think XYZ. Could you make a connection for me?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Give them more value.
Yep.
Like, awesome. Do what they ask. The other response you're going to get is, I've been thinking about it. I would love to make my own podcast. I've been actually needing to find a new supplier for XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
I've been needing to blah, blah, blah,
yep.
blah, blah. Never once did you talk about like selling them anything,
right.
But they have come to their own conclusion at the end of the thing. I am not a guy who wants to do a hard sell.
Yeah.
I hate hard sells. My entire idea is how do I just build enough trust that at the end I say, hey, is there anything I can do to help you?
Yeah.
And that right there turns into my sales pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to talk about, hey, I want to do a podcast in the studio. Great. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they'll say like, well, actually, what sort of other things do you make here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, great. Let's have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Or they just say, actually, I've been really trying to do XYZ. Do you have any connections in that space? Do you know do you have contacts in, like, usually it's all just a relationship building exercise. And so what ends up happening is the people who don't buy from you walk away feeling really satisfied that they got a lot of really cool relational things happening.
Yeah.
You built a new connection.
Yeah.
And in the end, like, that's a great thing to have because you never know if that person's going to remember down the line, like, oh yeah, I talked with those guys who make metal widgets and they were awesome. You should talk to them because you may get a referral from them down the road.
Yeah.
It may turn into more business for you down there. Or who knows, they could be that 1 in 4 that is a client and becomes a client and starts doing work with you. And you have just made a ton of value out of that free effort. So I think the big thing about this is that if we treat this as a value exchange, it's not going to work.
Mm.
But if we treat this as a value give with no expectation in return, other than we know our metric and 1 in 4 usually end up buying from us, then we just treat this as a, how can I help you?
Yep, exactly. That's really good.
I think that's the way to eventually get to the point of asking, do you need my help without actually saying it?
Yep. That's awesome. So I'm curious then, okay, so say somebody's listening to this and they're like, okay, I think I want to try this whole podcasting as like business development sort of move, right? Where should they start? What would you recommend?
Well, I think there's a number of different ways. I think it really depends on the business that the people are in and the value of each individual customer.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons why we're a really great B2B space is we recognize that a business selling to another business usually is dealing in higher ticket sales than a $5 water at a concession stand.
Right.
Like, and $5 for water. Anyway.
Right.
But like, so I would say there's kind of 2 steps to it. First, determine what is your average value, like average lifetime value of a customer.
Mm-hmm.
And then say, what does my brand require for a quality level?
Right.
So if you're trying to just sell a lot of individual things that are small ticket and you just need lots and lots of customers, then I would say do a ton of podcasts over Riverside.
Sure.
And just have an interview, even live stream it.
Mm-hmm.
That's another way you could do it. You just get them out. Like you have a conversation every other day at 2 p.m.
Right.
With ICP of yours.
Yeah.
And then if you just need to sell a ton, like having all these sort of conversations, then great. Invite them. Go for it. But if you're a business that's dealing with high ticket sales, where you're really in this space of our brand matters, our quality matters, the way that we have conversations matter, then I say the best first step to do this is gather those list of people who you think are a great customer for you.
Yeah.
Start reaching out and saying, hey, I want to do this podcast. Be my first guest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have a previous customer be your first guest if you need a practice run. Like, you're always going to see your first couple episodes, look back at them and say like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that.
Right.
Like, it's always going to happen, but you just have to start.
Yeah.
And so and then just have the conversation. Maybe every single guest you have on, you have the exact same questions every time. Because the idea of this podcast is not to gather listenership, it's to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And so listenership on top of it is just cream on the cake.
Yeah.
And so the big thing I just really say is create this like, hey, what's your set of questions that you want to have the conversation about? Determine the list of people that you need to have on the show that are your ideal customers, and then just start inviting.
Yeah.
And do it. Come to a studio. Like if you invite somebody to a studio, they're way more likely to say yes. Like I don't get that many no's when I ask people to show up.
Exactly.
In fact, usually I get enthusiastic yeses.
Exactly.
It's usually because I've met them at a networking event and say like, oh, I'd love to have you. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like all the time people will say yes to that.
Yeah.
So if you're really looking to try and sell high ticket, get somebody and say, hey, come to the studio with me. Let's do a podcast. They'll be like, yeah, let's go.
I mean,
love
come
it.
on. Come to the studio sounds pretty baller. I'm
It
just
sounds
saying.
pretty cool.
And I think another thing too that's helpful for some people, especially if they've never been on a podcast, is just make sure you prep them appropriately. That's where I really like what you said about having the predetermined set of questions. I feel like you can even like I would have a lot of questions that you know what core questions you absolutely want to hit in case they're really good at answering. But if they're not like amazing at answering and you want to have the podcast be a certain length, then have just a bunch of questions, but let them know ahead of time. There's so many people that would just rather know going into it. So having that predetermined set of questions is really helpful. And it's like you can riff off of it. You can ask follow-up questions and different things like that. But in case you get the person, or maybe just even ask them like, hey, I don't know if you've ever done a podcast before, but like, would it be helpful if I gave you the questions ahead of time? Or are you kind of the person that just likes to like do it off the top of your head, right? Just making sure you honor them in that way to make them feel as comfortable as possible coming in. Because there's a tiny bit of like, oh my gosh, there's like lights and cameras and microphones and whatever. Once you get into the conversation, a lot of times that goes away, but just getting them to be comfortable is huge. So I like that. Having the predetermined set of questions is really helpful.
Yeah. So can I give you your social media clip you're going to want to use?
I love it.
Okay, here we go. So if you want to make money with podcasting tomorrow, here's how you do it. Invite your customer onto the podcast. Grow trust with them by having an hour-long conversation about them. Don't talk about you, talk about them. And then at the very end of the conversation, all you got to do is ask, how can I help you? In my case, that is 25% close rate, where I get somebody 1 in 4 times who wants to buy from us. So if that is the thing that you want to do, that is the thing you should go after.
Yeah, I love it. And if you are just a little bit like, man, I'm not 100% sure the exact angle or whatever that I want to take for my podcast, here's what I would do. Go to CincinnatiPodcastStudio.com. I want you to type on the very top in the menu says something like take our free video podcast idea assessment. Click on that, put your name, your email, and then even if you don't have a clear idea of what your podcast should be about, what you should do is say, here's who I'm trying to target. This is going to be an interview style podcast. And here's what my company does. See what it spits out. And sometimes it'll give you some ideas to at least fuel. Okay, I have an idea of now some things I could talk about. Or you can even just reach out to us and we'd love to help you with that.
Yes, we would. That'd be so much fun for us. Yes. We enjoy those creative times when we get them.
100%. So anyways, so again, we want to recommend that you really take serious consideration into thinking about podcasting as a way for sales and for business development. It's a great way to get access. It's a great way to build trust, and it's a great way to build value and to give value to your target client. So, yeah, dude, thank you. This is awesome. And I think what's fun about this is we're not talking in hypotheticals. This is literally something not only have we seen other people do, but like you've literally done. And so I think that's just fun. Like we're definitely not talking in hypotheticals or like we think this could be a good idea. It is a good idea.
It is.
It just depends on, again, kind of going back to what is the goal? What is your target client worth? And then you can figure out, okay, what can I invest to like make that happen? Hey, if you're getting any value out of this conversation, would you please like, subscribe, rate, review, share this video, do all the things, and get the word out about this podcast. We are really trying to help podcasters like you, brand builders like you, use video podcasts in the best way possible. Thank you so much for your time, attention, and trust, and we will see you next time.